You ready? Knock, knock, knock. Hi, my name's Jerry, and I'm going to be your nurse today. Can you give me your name and your date of birth?
Tarek, 11/25/76.
Well, Tarek, today we're going to be exercising your joints, and I'm going to work from your head all the way down to your feet. So we're going to start by sitting up. I'm going to start with your neck, which is a pivot joint. And I'm just going to put my hands around, and we're going to go flexion, extension, and hyperextension. And then we're going to do each move 3 times. So flexion, extension, and hyperextension. Then we're also going to do lateral rotation, and then all the way around. It should be lateral flexion, actually, isn't it? Lateral flexion to each side, and then rotation. And that neck is a pivot joint. From the neck, we're going to move down to the shoulder, and we're always supporting the joints. So we're going to move down to your shoulder, and I'm just going to take your hand like this, and we're going to go flexion, extension, flexion, extension 3 times. And the shoulder is a ball and socket joint. From there, we're going to go to abduction and abduction. So abduction is away from the body. Adduction is towards the body. Abduction, adduction. We do each movement 3 times. Make sure. And then we're going to go to external and internal rotation. So we're going to bring, if you just let that arm up loose, and we're going to go this way, and this way, and this way, and this way. And that's 3 times. So that's external and internal rotation. That's all in the shoulder. From the shoulder, we're going to move down to the elbow. And the elbow is a hinge joint. So we're going to do flexion, extension, flexion, extension 3 times. Then we're going to do rotation for supination and the rotation for pronation. Supination and pronation 3 times. Again, the elbow is a hinge joint. From the elbow, we move down to the wrist. The wrist is a condyloid joint. So we're going to do flexion, extension, hyperextension. Flexion, extension, and whoops. Flexion, extension, hyperextension. Then we're going to do radial flexion. Radial towards the radius. Radial, ulnar, radial, ulnar, radial, ulnar. 3 times. From the wrist, we're going to move to the hands and fingers. Those are condyloid and hinge joints. And you can just take all the fingers, flexion, extension, hyperextension, flexion, extension, hyperextension. You can do them all at one time. Then we're going to do ab and add of the fingers. So it's abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction, ab and add, ab and add. And we're doing all the fingers. After the fingers, we're going to move on to the thumb, which is separate and a saddle joint. And we're going to do flexion and extension, or flexion and extension, and then ab and add, ab and add. So ab is always away, add is towards the body. Then we're also going to do what's called opposition with the thumb. And so we're going to take the thumb and we're going to touch each finger like that. So if you can have them do that, they can do just like that. Okay, and that's for the thumb. Then we're going to go ahead and have our patient lay down because he's such a cooperative patient. And we're going to move to the hip. And the hip is a ball and socket joint. And if you can just straighten both legs out, that would be great. So we're going to start with the hip, and we're going to do flexion and extension, and flexion and extension. You can also do it this way. You don't have to bend at the knee. You can go straight up. You can do it either way. And then we're going to do abduction and adduction, and abduction and adduction. Then we're going to do internal rotation and external rotation. So we're going like this and like this. We've got the hip in and the hip out. So you're looking at the way the hip is going. Make sure I don't forget anything. And then we're going to do rotation of the lower trunk. So we can take by the knees and we just do the whole trunk of the body 3 times. That's the hip. The next step is to go to the knee, and the knee is a hinge joint. So that's similar to the hip. It's just flexion and extension for the knee. Then we're going to move down to the ankle. And the ankle is a hinge joint, so we're gonna go do plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, and plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. And then we're gonna do inversion, where we're just turning the toe to the inside, toe to the inside. Now, I'm not gonna take his shoes off because he's gotta go back outside where it's wet. But like the hands, go to the toes, flexion and extension, and then ab and add, and ab and add. And the toes are hinge and gliding joints. And that's the end of your range of motion.